Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another video. And today I wanted to make my submission for Valus Dreadmere's hybrid tournament. So in this video I want to follow three goals, and the three goals for this video are: firstly, make a hybrid that will not be violating the rules of the tournament. Now, I know the rules allow for at least the use of two dinosaurs, but to challenge myself, I did not want to use any dinosaur. So that's the second rule. Every single creature will be from after the asteroid struck the Earth, not before. And thirdly, to challenge myself further, I wanted to create D-Rex. So a creature that somewhat resembles D-Rex without any of the deformities this particular creature had. So that's set. That's what we want to do. And you might be asking, why D-Rex? Well, you get the answer. So without further ado, let's get to the contributors. First and foremost, we have Pantherasuchus brasiliensis. This giant caiman from essentially the ancient Amazonian forests provides immense bite force. So this is one of the creatures with the highest ever recorded bite force, and definitely that's something we want for our creature. Secondly, it had a really tough box-shaped skull, which allowed this creature to hold on to struggling prey, and we want that too, so that our creature can essentially handle the stress of its struggling opponent. And thirdly is the tooth hardness. So all crocodilians have really hard teeth which can withstand even biting through armor without breaking. So we are taking that, as well as the tooth replacement, which probably won't be that important in this particular battle. And apart from that, we are taking the size. So this creature on an average was somewhere around like 8 tons, and the biggest ones could be like 12-13 tons. So that's a good base to start with. Along with that, we will have the tough hides and the osteoderms for armor. Apart from that, the Porosaurus will also contribute to our really powerful tail, just in case some pesky creature from behind decides to sneak up. Apart from this, we will also be having the dwarf crocodile, which will allow us to have the more even distribution of armor. So our creature will have these osteoderms all over the body, including the belly and the limbs, giving it optimal protection from attacks, making it virtually a tank. Now what's next? Alright, Pantherasuchus. Pantherasuchus essentially will make our primarily belly-walking crocodilian hybrid into a quadruped. So it can actually walk on 4 legs instead of crawling on the ground all the time. Why is it important? So that the crocodilian biology can synergize with the other creatures I'm about to add to make it a proper 4-legged creature that resembles D-Rex. Let's go over the next one. Crocodilius porosus, or saltwater crocodile. I promise this will be the last crocodilian I will add. So what does Salty give us? Saltwater crocodile will give us incredible eyesight, both distance vision and night vision. So that's gonna help with the detection of prey. Along with that, they will also have the protective eyelids and the bony ridges that crocodilians have around the eyes to protect it from different attacks. Primarily, the protective eyelid will be for protecting the eyes against venom-based attacks, like spitting venom. So that's that. Apart from that, bleed resistance will also be a thing we will be taking from the saltwater crocodiles, because saltwater crocodiles in general have this ability more specifically, but crocodilians in general have this ability, is to redirect blood flow away from a wound so that it doesn't bleed to death. Obviously, the osteoderms will help in the first place to not get a wound, but at the same time, they have a way to regulate their blood flow so that they don't bleed to death. So we are taking that from there. Apart from that, we will also be taking the venom resistance. And the crocodilians, specifically saltwater crocodiles, are immune to a number of neurotoxins and hemotoxins. Now, most animals have venoms that are either neurotoxins and hemotoxins. So, due to the extremely powerful immune system of the crocodile, I think our creature, along with its size as well, will be fine from any venom based attacks so far. Okay, let's see what's next after the crocodilians. Leviathan melville. Now, what does this giant megaraptorial whale contribute? So, firstly, it contributes massive conical teeth. Now, Purosaurus had a really strong bite and everything, and really tough teeth, but the teeth are kind of small. They're not as big as I want them to be. Leviathan melville had the biggest teeth of any animal, which excluding tusks. But biting teeth, yeah, these guys had the biggest teeth. Their teeth can grow up to like a foot long. Like we're talking about 36 centimeter teeth as well. And I think these will be really, really important for a hybrid. And not only did it have like really big teeth, it also had a really powerful bite force. So that will also contribute to the overall bite and go well synergized with our Purosaurus bite. So these teeth will amplify the damage of this already immensely powerful bite force to an even greater extent. Apart from this, it will also help with the size increase. I wish to point out here that this creature is not as big as Leviathan melville, but it will help this creature grow bigger than an average Purosaurus. So there is that. It will have a bit more bulk or girth. And finally, the cranial capacity and intellect. Being a cetacean and most likely living in groups, the Leviathan melville was extremely smart and could coordinate, strategize, and use its intellect to hunt in a more smart way to say that. Anyways, let's see what other things we have. Megatherium americanum, the biggest ground sloth. Now, what does Megatherium americanum provide? It provides some really powerful front limbs, claws, and really, really powerful ankles and hind legs. So essentially, I want my hybrid to be able to rear up. Not completely like we see the Megatherium doing here, but at least enough to use its front limbs for combat, so that it can at least grapple, pin down, or slap with its front limbs. And so that's what we are taking from Megatherium americanum. Let's go over the next one. Parasorotherium. This will also contribute to the joint sizes. And our creature is close to the size of the largest Parasorotherium, if not slightly bigger. In terms of weight, not in terms of height though. So Parasorotherium will essentially provide the bulk along with this beautiful ridge where the muscle attachments could go, and very column-like powerful legs so that it can support the joint size of our creature, and it can walk a bit better, run a bit better. And along with the two next components we will be adding, like two next contributors, it will make the legs strong enough to essentially withstand a lot of the different forces of, tension and running and all that. The legs, in the sense of fingers, are not fingers, toes, are more splayed out, along with the next addition, which is the rhino. Now, rhinos also will be contributing the femur. Or why the femur, you might ask, is that rhino femur is the hardest, most like most powerful, strongest bone in animal kingdom. I want this femur, and I want all the limbs to have this level of strength in terms of the bone aspect of it, so that it can take the pressure of a giant creature. Apart from that, it will also have splayed out toes similar to a rhino, which will allow this creature to have a little bit less load on its toes, or the overall flat of its foot. It will have the plantigrade stance of a rhino or a Parasaurolotherium, which will allow this creature to splay out its foot and reduce the pressure on its joints. Let's see what's next. Panthera. Let's see what Panthera tigris contributes here. Panthera tigris contributes quite a bit. Firstly, muscularity. Panthera tigris can be 55 to 56% muscle in terms of weight. That's a creature that is pound for pound stronger than any other animal of similar size. I want that to be in my creature. My creature should also be mostly muscle. And apart from that, not only is it mostly muscle, which allows the creature to be more flexible and to be more agile, it will also determine what type of muscle is in there, because the tigers and other felines have a very high percentage of fast twitch fibers into their muscles, which causes them to have a faster reaction. Now, granted, our creature is a lot bigger, so it probably won't have as quick a reaction as the tiger, but it will be a lot quicker than any other similar sized animal. So pound for pound, it will be a lot stronger, and it will be a lot quicker. So these two are the primary advantages we get from the tigers. Apart from that, we get the strong limbs. These limbs are so muscular and strength packed that tigers can remain standing even when they are dead. So I think it will make the limbs, specifically the front limbs, really, really strong in our creature. And along with that, we will keep the toe pads from the tigers to provide further cushioning for the feet, and the claws. Now, unlike tiger claws, it won't be fully retractable because it's a much bigger creature, but it will not be fully extended out either. It will be semi-retractable, so it will be lifted off the ground, but it won't go completely inside. Similar to a wolverine. It won't be like a bear where it's always out and it gets dulled over time while walking. So, sharp claws as well. It will also give our creature 4 large canines or fangs, which will essentially help our creature, choke things or bite their opponent on the spine to sever it, similar to how tigers do it, or to choke it, and even penetrate deeper with their teeth. Already the Leviathan teeth are dangerous enough to shred things, but these 4 fangs are even more powerful to go even deeper and deal even more damage. And finally, we will have the very low frequency roar from a tiger. Why? I will explain in a bit. Okay, now that also another thing I wanted to establish is the strong forelimbs will also serve a very important purpose.
I like it, cut G.
To do this. Okay, now that we have added the most powerful modern day land apex predator, what about we add the most powerful ocean predator of modern day? No! Not these losers. Yep, you guessed it right. Sperm whales. So what does sperm whale contribute? Sperm whale contributes spermaceti organ. It is essentially the big dome-shaped organ you see in sperm whales that causes their extremely loud roars. It's practically an echo chamber which makes the roar a lot louder. Not exactly roar, sperm whales do it click. So this will make the click extremely loud to the point where sperm whales can send out a click up to 250 decibels. That's enough to kill a lot of animals. If not outright just rupture your eardrums, make a bubble form into your head, and start to burn up the air inside your lungs. And to add insult to injury, this is not just spread out like a bat's echolocation, this is concentrated in a beam projected forward. I wanted this weapon to be on my creature. Not just the echolocation, obviously we will have the echolocation so that our creature can detect hidden enemies, but more importantly, I wanted this 250 decibels or higher screech or sound attack to be there so that our creature can stun other animals. And the way it works for sperm whales is that these bony narial tubes, or usually their voice boxes, produce a rather faint, high-pitched click, which is about 25 decibels, and once that click echoes through this material, it gets amplified to a much greater degree, and then we get the 250 decibels or 230 decibels loud roar. Now, adding this thing is a bit of a problem. Why, you may ask, is that sperm whales' weapon is primarily designed to be used underwater, and the way they do it is by using higher frequency. So higher frequency sounds travel further in denser medium. So water is about 800 times denser than air. This is why sperm whales have a really, really high frequency, almost 25,000 hertz, that they use to send out these clicks. Once you bring that weapon onto air, because it's a lighter medium, such a high frequency will not have the range. Due to this, we will be adding the loud, booming, low frequency roar of a tiger. And what we will essentially do is we will take the voice box of a tiger, which is already extremely loud. Tigers can roar with a with an amplitude of 110 decibels. That's already more than enough to deafen a creature if it is close range. We are going to take this voice box and put it in our creature. Now obviously, because our creature is a lot bigger, it's safe to assume it will also be a lot louder. But being generous here, let's say that the 110 decibels get increased to maybe 130 decibels. Not that much. So 130 decibels. And then this spermaceti organ will amplify that 130 decibel sound. Now granted, our creature is not as big as a sperm whale, so it won't probably be a 10 times increase. The spermaceti organ isn't as big, so that resonance will probably not be as loud. However, it will still be extremely lethal to any creature that is smaller than 1,000 kilograms, which a lot of the creatures probably will be, because this is like, even if it amplifies the tiger's booming roar to just 2 to 3 times, that's already reaching something like 220 decibels to 330 decibels, which is a lethal level of sound. And remember, this sound is projected forward in a beam, essentially giving our creature a ranged weapon on land. But because it's a lower frequency, it can travel much farther. Like, tiger roars can be heard from kilometers away. Now, granted, our roar probably won't be lethal a kilometer away, but it will still be extremely destructive at least 100 feet away. And that's what we really want. We want this devastating weapon to essentially stun the prey at the very least. To explain this in a simpler way, think about this scene. Imagine the lady is the powerful voice box of the tiger who already has a really powerful roar, and that is further amplified by the spermaceti organ. This thing, if it is a creature that is smaller than like 1,000 kilograms, it will almost immediately melt their brains, rupture their eardrums, and cause the air in their lungs to burn up and cause them to essentially die off in as soon as they are targeted with this beam of sound. If it is a large creature which is similar to this size, we have the last trick up our sleeves, and that is the tiger's frequency. Now, not only does the tiger's frequency is low, it can travel very far away, it is 20 hertz, around 20 hertz actually, which coincidentally happen to be the resonating frequency of bone joints. So any creature that is in the path of this sonic beam will have their joints shivering, will have their joints weakened. They will essentially be, in a way, stunned and paralyzed. No matter how big the creature is, if their eardrums are bleeding, their brains are ringing, their lungs are burning up, and their joints are shaking, they won't be able to charge. I don't need the sound beam to kill a creature of similar size because that will be a bit too much, but to stun a creature for like 2 minutes with this sound wave is more than enough for our creature to either win the battle outright, or if they're stunned for even for 30 seconds, that's way more time than we need to just run in, grab that creature by the throat, and just rip it into shreds. So that's the plan here. That's the way our creature will mainly hunt. And with all that in, with all the contributors in, finally I'm going to reveal my creature. And it is called Pantherasuchus Daedalus, named after the famous inventor Daedalus. So it's called the Daedalus's panther croc. It looks like a panther and a crocodilian, so panther croc. In short, we call it P. Diddy. And its height is 18 feet, length 60 feet, weight 50,000 pounds or 25 tons. So it is about the size of the weight limit. Any creature it will face will either be the same size or smaller, so already giving it a pretty big size advantage. Bite force is 70,000 newtons. Running speed is 27 miles per hour. Granted, this thing doesn't exactly run. Similar to elephants, it's a fast walk, and this thing cannot run for very long either. It's a ambush predator, so it will go into quick bursts and mostly hunt passively. So it will let the opponent come towards it, and once the opponent is in range, it will use its primary weapon, that is the stun roar. That roar that can either kill the creature outright if it's a smaller creature. If it's a similar sized creature, it can stun that creature for a good while. While this thing runs up, grabs that thing with claws and its front limbs, and uses a choke. That's the preferred method. Because of the tiger fangs, it's really good at choking things, so biting the throat and suffocating them. Now, preferred habitat is the swamp, wetlands, marshes, and bogs. This thing likes to live in more watered areas because of a lot of aquatic and semi-aquatic contributors being present. So while it can live on land pretty fine, it can travel great distances walking, it also likes to dive from time to time. And another thing I forgot to add actually, this thing has is the inner side of the mouth is made like crocodilian mouths. So it doesn't really have a tongue per se. It only has a hard plate inside its mouth, similar to how crocodiles do, which will allow this thing to bite through some sharp defenses. While it will take some damage, but it has essentially the pain tolerance of crocodiles too, which will allow this creature to endure the pain of biting through the sharp quills. Some people have quills in there or something else, but yeah, it will not have too much of a problem biting through those. And while it mainly uses its front limbs and the stun roar for attack, it can also use a variety of other methods. And how the stun roar essentially works, for that I have a quick demonstration prepared how it will work against a smaller creature. That's how it works. Like, it won't actually explode the thing, but you get the idea. And apart from that, here the tiger is used for demonstration. So it can also perform similar moves to the tiger, and it fights a lot like the tiger. The personality is a lot like the tiger. So it likes to grapple, pin down. After the prey is stunned, it's grappling, pinning down, and preferred method of attacking is the throat or the spine, mainly that area, where it can bite down and just choke that thing. Like you can see the gore is being choked here, same here. Or it can bite the spine, like in these three pictures you can see. It can bite the spine, and it has so much bite force with these long, hard canines, it can sever the vertebrae and kill the creature almost instantly. However, that is not the only method of bite this thing has. It can also, on occasions, bite the sides to gut its prey, like similar to a Leviathan malvolii would have. And it can also bite the legs of certain creatures to tip them over, or to have them lose balance. And here are the two characters, Canary and Bolt. So they are from the Black family, so they're inspired from Black Bolt and Black Canary, both superheroes with sound-based powers. And they both will be traveling to the contest. However, Canary, the female, will not be taking part into the contest. She's simply going there to cheer up her husband. Bolt is the main one taking part into this contest. So that's my hybrid. Let me know what you guys think. And Valis, if you're watching,